Kenyans continue to respond to the ongoing fuel crisis with traffic transferred from roads to filling stations, especially here in Nairobi. Pumps stay starved across the country, and we now bring in our business reporter, Abubakar Abdullahi, who is at a Nairobi oil depot. Abubakar, there seemed to be a stalemate among distributors and retailers, all due to the increment in petroleum products. Is this still the case at the depot?
Good afternoon, Jesse. Yes, I can hear you very well. In regards to your question of whether there is a stalemate between the transporters, and ever since the September 1st implementation of the VAT on fuel came into effect, there were protests witnessed across the depot area here in Nairobi, and that's where we are today. Unlike yesterday when there were protests, today there seems to be heavy police presence around. And according to what we have seen, operation seems to be normalizing. I was able to speak to the terminal manager at National Oil, who rather explained to me how the operations for today are. He says in a normal day, before the shortage, that is, they were loading 1 million volumes of fuel. That is an approximation of 70 to 80 trucks. Yesterday, when the shortage began and there was a nationwide reported shortage of fuel in the country, he said they only loaded 7 trucks, which accumulates to approximated liters in terms of volume to 200,000. That is 7 trucks. Of course, it is 70 to 7, 63 trucks drop. Today at half day, National Oil is reporting that there were 55 shipments, which account roughly for 60,000 liters of volume. This to them is a signal that operations are slowly returning back and normalcy is getting back. But there's also a catch to that, because we were able to talk to other depots around here belonging to different petrol stations, belonging to different brands of suppliers of fuel. In the Nairobi depot, which is in the industrial area, there are only 3 depots that are loading and the shipments of fuel that is going out, namely where we are, which is National Oil, Gulf, and the Shell Vivo. So apart from that, we were able to look around and see the other depots, and it's worthy to note that they were not loading. It's only these 3 depots that are loading of fuel. Talking of heavy police presence, of course, it comes at the backdrop of protests between transporters and the officers managing the premises yesterday. But unlike yesterday, today there is heavy presence. And you'll also remember that the Energy Regulatory Commission yesterday threatened to withdraw the licenses of transporters who have staged a go-slow and a protest in regards to the 16% value-added tax on fuel. Remember also that fuel, without even this 16% value-added tax, was the most taxed commodity in the country. And the backdrop of this all began in 2013 when Parliament first passed the law that will see a 16% increment on fuel. This was, of course, as a result of pressure from the International Monetary Fund. They gave it a grace period of 3 years, which was for implementation to 2016, postponed it with another 2 years to 2018 when September, of course, the latest implementation came into effect. But also Parliament, in the latest wave of suspensions, suspended that again for 2 years, pushing it further to 2022, even though now the implementation has taken effect. As of now, all eyes are on the President and what he will do to the financial bill that is ahead of him. That is what we know at the moment in regards to this.
Where the consumer is now forced to bear the tax burden. Already the cost of travel and basic goods has shot up, with the biting fuel shortage reported across the country. We bring in our senior parliamentary reporter, Patrick Amimo, from Parliament to inform us about this particular meeting. Patrick Amimo, inform us about the latest developments.
Thank you very much. The way we've been having at least the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury, Henry Rotich, was here at Parliament a few hours ago. Just the meeting, the 3-hour meeting ended at about noon. He checked in at around 9 in the morning, where he was with the the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, together with the Leader of Majority in the National Assembly, Aden Duale, together with the Chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, that is Kimani Ichung'wah, and his counterpart in Finance Committee, Limo. And these are together with also the Attorney General. And the purpose was mainly to fine-tune the Finance Bill 2018 ahead of publication and presentation to President Uhuru Kenyatta, probably when he gets back into the country, an exercise that might be done probably over the weekend and or Monday. That's when we expect the President to append the signature on this particular Finance Bill 2018. What happened is that last week, Thursday, members of the National Assembly passed the Finance Bill 2018 with an amendment to push the now contentious VAT Act 2013 that allowed levy, a 16% levy on petroleum products. We saw the Suna is a member of Parliament, Junet Mohammed, push an amendment to have these levy implemented in 2020. But what happened was that in 2013, the National Assembly had passed the VAT Act 2013, which allowed petroleum levy to be to be imposed. But it's the CS Treasury Henry Rotich then who gave a reprieve of 3 years up to 2016. Then in 2016 again there was a 2-year reprieve which expired on August 31st. That's why now we saw Rotich move in and implement that levy, which has now caused an uproar across the country. But as it were, this matter is not new. This idea to have this fuel levy imposed this year or start action this year was canvassed in Parliament way back in April this year when members were discussing the budget policy statement. And at that time, if members were keen, probably they would have scrapped this particular clause out of this particular law, but they decided not to. So as we talk now, Kenyans will have to feel the pain because apparently the members of Parliament did not take that due diligence to scrap off this particular provision, despite the fact that even the Budget and Appropriation Committee did capture it in their report very well that the cost of living in Kenya was high and there was also inflation and there was need to cushion Kenyans against some of these adverse effects which are now coming on board. Already we've seen the millers are saying that the price of flour will shoot up, especially with wheat and maize. Already the commuters are paying the cost already. In Nairobi, fare has increased by between 20 to 30 shillings. Up country, they've increased the fares by 20%, so that maybe from Nairobi to Eldoret, which was costing 1,000 shillings, now it's costing 1,200 shillings. Already, also the cost of electricity will go up because also in those recommendations, ERC is targeting 4 billion extra shillings. So if you are the consumer of electricity out there, prepare to pay high electricity bills. So these are some of the pains that Kenyans out there will face, and you have to persevere with it, because even if President Uhuru Kenyatta gets in over the weekend and signs this particular Finance Act and says that probably the petroleum levy should go to 2020, we will have until the end of this month before that law comes into effect. So we'll still have to pay that levy in the meantime and bear up with those high cost of the high cost in basic products. But again, looking at it, it's not only that it's not about the fuel levy that we're looking into. There is mobile money transfer. The levy went up by 12%. So it's something that also Kenyans out there should prepare to ensure that when you'll be doing your transaction through mobile transfer, also you will have to be forced to dig deep into your pocket. Back to you, Rogers.
Well, thank you so much. That's Amimo, our senior parliamentary reporter, informing us about the latest meeting that has been convened by the CES, Henry Rotich, the Majority Leader, Aden Duale, as well as the Chair of the Finance Committee, among other members, to actually fine-tune the Finance Bill 2018. This is in regards to President Uhuru Kenyatta, who's supposed to fly in to the country right after the summit in Beijing, China. He is expected to either sign or reject reject the bill and take it back to Parliament. And this is all in an effort to actually highlight the plight of Kenyans who have really been affected by the ripple effects of the 16% VAT on petroleum. We'll definitely keep you updated about whatever is happening across the country, even as our reporter Lagat is in Eldoret. He'll take a look at the state of situation in that particular area of this